Alright, so we've used a lot of different methods and styles to adding fractions, and you've been taught a lot of different ways. So one of the things you might want to think about is, when I have a situation like this, which method should I choose? So first of all, when I look at this problem here, and I just copied it twice because I'm going to show both methods, if I use Criss-Cross style, I'm going to get some pretty big numbers when I multiply. Now, since the 5 and the 10 are both divisible by 5, I understand that this means that I'm going to be able to reduce when I'm done. So if I'm going to use Criss-Cross style, I need to identify the fact that this is going to be a problem that's going to have a reducing at the end. So Criss-Cross style would look like this. 5 times 7 is 35. 10 times 3 is 30. So I would get 30 plus 35 over 50 for a grand total of 65 over 50, which I would have to reduce. So when I reduce 65 over 50, I can take a 5 out of the top and the bottom. So 65 divided by 5 is going to be 13 over 50 divided by 5 is 10. So I took a 5 out. And 13 over 10 is a good improper fraction. I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. You could turn it into a mixed number, 1 and 3/10 if you would like. So Criss-Cross style, there's a lot of work involved. I don't necessarily have to use that method. I could actually find a common denominator very quickly. Since I know this is a 10, I can turn this fraction into a 10 by just multiplying the top and the bottom by 2. So if I did that, then this 3/5 would turn into 6/10, and I would be adding 7/10, and that would get me the answer of 6 plus 7, which is 13/10. So you can see that that's significantly shorter than the Criss-Cross style. So can I do that here? Well, do I have a number that are both 8 and 4 have in common? Yeah, that would be 4. 4 works for both of those. So if I chose Criss-Cross style, it would be a big elaborate work. However, if I chose just finding a common denominator, I could do it here. And I can find a common denominator by just multiplying the second one by 2. So that would get me a 7/8 plus, and 3 times 2 is 6/8. So by turning this into a better fraction, I can get my answer quickly. 13 over 8. Okay, so just to remind you of why I would want to do that, Criss-Cross style, we're talking 24 and 28. So we would have 28 plus 24 over 8 times 4, which is 32. So Criss-Cross style would get me, 28 and 24 is 40, 52 over 32. And that's a pretty difficult thing to reduce. I know I can reduce it by a special magic number. I know I can reduce it by 4 because that's what I have right here. So 52 divided by 4 is indeed 13, and 32 divided by 4 is indeed 8. So I get 13 over 8, and that's going to be my final answer. So if I was going to do Criss-Cross style on these bottom two, or common denominator, what would I have? Is there anything that 9 and 8 have in common? No. So finding a common denominator is going to be very complicated, and it's going to involve me multiplying them anyway. So I would rather choose coming in and choosing this method here, because it's going to be probably the simplest method. There's nothing that I can reduce it by. So 9 times 3 is 27. 8 times 5 is 40. And 40 plus 27 is my numerator, 27. And 9 times 8, which is 72, that's my denominator. So my final answer would be 67 over 72. And that's way easier than finding a common denominator. So finding a common denominator would basically give me the same information. So as far as method choices, if I was choosing methods, I would probably choose common denominators for these two because they have similar factors, and I would probably choose Criss-Cross method for the third one because it doesn't have anything in common. and I can't stop this. There we go. I got it.